All right, you guys, I just wanted to do a few of these problems with you, just to remind you of what it is that we learned last week. I'll get the first couple of these done, and then the rest of the time you have to work on finishing this worksheet front and back. And I do want you to turn in this worksheet by the end of the period, whether you're done or not. I would like to see what you get done, okay? I'm going to get you started just to remind you of a bunch of stuff that we've been talking about this chapter. I am on the page that says worksheet 3, so start there. And I am going to have my calculator ready also because we definitely will need a calculator for this. You can use the one on your iPad, or you can use one if Mr. G or Mr. B brought them in for you. That is fine too. So for all of these problems, remember SOHCAHTOA. The way I've been writing it on the board looks like this. SOHCAHTOA. But that's the same letters that are here. I just write them as fractions. But that tells us which button in the calculator we're going to be using. Remember that we have the sin button, the cos button, and the tan button, as we've been calling them. That's what we're going to be using again today. So let me zoom on this very first problem. Step 1, I'm going to identify the side that is the hypotenuse, right? That's the side that is across from the right angle. Step 2 is I'm going to swoop the angle that I'm given. This is the angle, the 16 degrees, and that means that this side is my opposite side, so I'm going to label it with an O. And the other side, whatever side isn't labeled now, this one has an O, this one has an H, so I'm talking about this one is going to be my A side. And the hardest part of this whole worksheet, I think, is deciding which button in the calculator to use. My X is next to A, and my H is next to 13. And so I have to decide which of these three fractions uses A and H. As you can see, it's this one right here. It's the cos button. So once you can identify which button in the calculator you're going to use, I am going to write down here cos, and I'm going to look back up here at my fraction. The cosine button uses the A number divided by the H number. Well, the A number is X and the H number is 13. So I'm going to put X and 13. But before I do that, remember what I have to do is I have to put the degree measure in. Because when you hit that cos button in the calculator, it opens up a parenthesis. So you have to tell it like to use the degree that we swooped. So the 16 goes there. And then the fraction is A divided by H, which means X divided by 13. So I'm going to put X divided by 13. And this is the equation that I'm going to set up. Now I'm going to type this thing into the calculator. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to pull over my cos, and I'm going to hit cos 16, enter, and it's 0.9612. So I'm going to change that into a decimal, 0.9612. It still equals X over 13. I'm just going to put that decimal over 1, and I'm going to cross multiply. When I cross this way, I get 1 times X, which is X. And when I cross this way, I need to do 13 times 0.9612. And I'm just typing that in my calculator, and I get 12.5. Okay. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to label my hypotenuse, which is this one. I'm going to swoop my angle. And that means that this side is opposite and my last side is adjacent. And I have my X with A and I have my number with O. A and O. I need to look up here and decide which of these three buttons uses A and O. It's this one, so I'm going to write tan. Okay, so I'm going to put tan. Your calculator opens up a parentheses. So I have to put the degree measure next to the sine or the cos or the tan. In this case, tan. And the tan fraction, I have to put O on top, A on the bottom. The O is 20, the A is X. So I'm putting 20 on top, X on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to tan 55 in my calculator. What would that number be? Tan 55, which is 1.428. Equals 20 over X. I'm going to put this decimal over 1 and I'm going to cross multiply. 20 times 1 is 20. Keep the equals. When I cross this way, I get X times 1.428, which is 1.428X. And how do I get X by itself? I divide both sides by 1.428. and that gives me x equals, and I need to type this in the calculator, so 20 divided by 1.428. Don't mind my family watching Harry Potter in the basement really loud. 14.0, I'm just going to leave it as 14. Okay? Let me do one more, and then you guys can try some on your own, okay? This side is my hypotenuse. Here is a swoop of the angle, so this side is opposite, and my other side is adjacent. Okay. I have a number with O, and I have my X with H, so I need to think about O and H. Let me zoom back out. O and this one, O and H. O and H. So I'm going to use the sin button, as you kids like to say. Sin. It's actually pronounced sine, in case anybody was wondering. And it opens up a parentheses. You have to put the angle measure there in the calculator. So 45 equals, and the sin fraction is O divided by H. The O is 4, the H is X. So I'm putting 4 over X. I am going to hit sine 45 in the calculator. Sine 45, enter. 0.7071. And it equals 4 over x. And again, I'm going to put this decimal over 1. I'm going to cross multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. I'm going to cross this way. And I got 0.7071x. And to get x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 7071. That gives me x equals 4 divided by 0.7071. Enter. 5.7. Okay. That is a memory course on how to do this. How do you decide? Hardest part is how do you decide which button in the calculator to use? It depends on what you have. For this question, we had an A and an H. That told me to use the cos button. For this question, we had an A and an O. That told me to use the tan button. For this question, we had an O and an H. That told me to use the sine button. And then from there, it's just calculator work and cross multiplying. Okay, so you've got 6 questions to finish on the front, and you've got another 9 on the back. I know you can do it, and I can't wait to see what it is you were able to do so that I can help you tomorrow if you're stuck. Or, hey, let somebody know if you need help, and we do have a quiz coming up on Wednesday, so I'll get you guys all ready for that tomorrow, okay? Thanks for watching. Shoot me an email if you need anything or if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you all.